Does the thought of creating a homeschool schedule have you running for the hills with a backpack full of snacks and some clothes? Well, listen, I have a couple of tips to help you peacefully create a homeschool schedule. I'll see you on the other side. Okay, welcome back, y'all. This is Nikki with That Homeschool Life, and this video is about creating a homeschool schedule. But if you're new to this channel, welcome, thank you. Hi, what's up, y'all? I'm a homeschool mom of 3 rambunctious, beautiful, lovely boys, and this channel is all about homeschooling, motherhood, womanhood, day in the life, product reviews, things you're using in our house, in our homeschool life, in my motherhood life, all of that, and then some. So if you are new, please consider subscribing to my channel. The little red button is somewhere down here. I always forget what side. Click the notification bell so every time I put out a new video, you won't miss it, okay? So let's do that. Creating a homeschool schedule. So I often think that if all I had to do today, just today, was just teach my kids. You know, we would spend hours doing read-alouds and science experiments at the pond or the beach. We would have long discussions. I had this very idyllic vision of what my day would be, because it would just be me and my children just learning for the sake of learning. Okay, so now when reality sets in, you realize, well, I realize that I'm not just a homeschool teacher. During the day, during the homeschool day, I am also a wife, a chauffeur, a cook, a counselor, a nurse. Let's see, someone's got a boo-boo over here. I have to go find a little Band-Aid, even if it's just a little drop of blood. Then someone over here can't find the documentary so they can finish their lesson plan. And then the dog is going haywire, and husband's calling. Did you register for flag football? It's a lot going on. So how do you create a schedule peacefully where you're just worrying about schooling and not everything else that's in your house, because you're in your house. A lot of you work full time, so big ups to you, because that's a lot of extra work. So my 3 tips for creating a homeschool schedule. Number 1, routines create peace. Let me say that in my best version, a la Ralph Smart. If you guys haven't heard about Ralph Smart, check him out on YouTube, Infinite Waters. Routines create peace. All my Ralph Smart deep divers know what I'm talking about. Peace. Routines create peace. We all want peace in our homeschool. We want peace in our life. So, okay, I'm a daughter of a Marine, and in that household, I knew the meaning of a routine, a schedule. And having a routine and a schedule eliminates a lot of uncertainties, doubts. It fosters predictability, and in that predictability, you can let your confidence soar, because you're not worrying about little different things that could be unpredictable. So you're free to just think and do. It's almost like learning your multiplication and division facts cold. So now you're able to focus on the higher level parts of math without struggling. What's 8 times 6? So what's 25 divided by 5? You have the foundation set in stone. So now you can play around with different things. For me, I like a natural ebb and flow to my day, okay? Some days it's really impossible to get everything done, but if you have a short list of essential, necessary things that must get done, sometimes you're just really only getting those necessary things done and nothing else, and that's okay. But so long as you have a natural ebb and flow, you can be satisfied with the output that you get for that day. So you're like, Nikki, what is it? Natural ebb and flow and all that. Okay, so what that is for me, for our homeschool, in the morning, to start homeschool, my kids play a game. They play a game to signal to them that, our homeschool day has begun. And usually they're like dice games, a couple of board games, whatever. but they know to go choose one that they want to play together, and they go do it. And usually they're math games because they're very fast, to the point, and that's just another way to reinforce um, math concepts that they learned in previous lessons. So, and then after they play their games, well, we always start with math, because to me, math is so important, because I was so lousy at math growing up. So I just like, math is what my flagship. We will always do this first. And they're fine with that. So that worked for us. So we flow into our first lesson, which is math. But between each lesson or each subject, they always have a 5 to 10 minute break, and they can do whatever they want, so long as it's being a creator or a builder or something like that. They can't go get on the computer or iPad or whatever. They go moonwalk down the hallway. They can go throw the ball with the dog, but 5 to 10 minutes to just decompress. And then we move on to the next lesson. So that's our ebb and flow. So we have something in the morning to signal our day, and then there's a continuity and ebb and flow between each subject. So now they have predictability. So now they know what's coming next. So they don't have to ask that question, what am I going to do next? Well, I don't want to do that, or this is boring. No, that's what we do. Now, you don't have to be locked into that. The schedule is really the framework, and then within the framework, you can make changes so it doesn't become static and robotic. So, for instance, we have a game in the morning. It could be a math game, it could be a board game, it could be hide and seek, it could be anything, but it's a game. We're not stuck with, we have to do this dice game every day, but we do start with a game. Between lessons, 5 to 10 minutes. Now you can do what you want between those 5 to 10 minutes. But see, that's the ebb and flow. So some people shy away from a schedule because they're thinking a schedule is, okay, 8 to 8:15, 9 to 9:30, 10 to 11, and they get caught up and a slave to this time itself. But no, just create this framework, and within the framework, you can bend it, move it, arrange it however you want. Nikki, what's the difference between a routine and a schedule? Well, a schedule is, think of it as time, where you're trying to lasso time. So you might say, okay, we're gonna do Bible study from 8 to 8:45, and from 8:45 to 9:15, we're gonna clean up the breakfast table, and then from 9 to 10 o'clock, we're gonna do math, and then from 10:30 to 11, we're gonna do grammar, and then from 11:30 to 12. So a schedule is time with a task associated with that time. So a schedule can really strangle you and really frustrate your efforts, because a schedule doesn't allow for a natural ebb and flow in your life. Your child is sick, or maybe they cut themselves and they need some extra attention, but oh my God, the schedule says we got to start English at 11:55. So a schedule will strangle you guys. I'm telling you, a schedule will strangle. If you're trying to dictate your day by time, what time it is, I tell you right now, you're going to be burnt out in a week. Okay? A schedule doesn't allow for the natural ebb and flow of your house, of your children, of your life. So you say at 10 o'clock, every day at 10 o'clock, we're doing reading, but at 9:50, your child, skinned his knee and he needs a little TLC, and then, your baby crawled in and pulled out all the tissue paper from, the Kleenex boxes because the other child was sick. So you're like, oh no, it's 10 o'clock. No, it's 10 o'clock, and I still haven't found that Band-Aid I've been looking for, because he wants Pokemon, but all I have is, Cinderella. You're going to be like, oh my God, we're behind. And you're going to be in your mind thinking, we're behind, we're not catching up. And you're just going to get frustrated, and you're going to frustrate your children. So a schedule being tied to a time, don't do it, guys. Just don't do it. Take it from me, growing up in the military where we had schedules. I prefer a routine. So you can say, okay, we're going to learn 5 subjects a day. 3 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, okay? that would be the same thing. Okay, you have a routine and a schedule. In both, there are 5 topics you want to study. Okay, in the schedule, you're like 8 o'clock math, 9 o'clock reading, 10 o'clock writing, 11 o'clock spelling, 12 eat, 1 o'clock history. So you got all that stuff you have to do it at all those times, and you're not allowing for, what if your discussion in reading takes off and you go over your time and you're into, the writing time, and you're going to get all, well, let's cut this off and get into writing. But with a routine, you're like, okay, so in the morning, we're going to cover reading, writing, and math, have lunch, and then do history and spelling. So now you're not tied to a time or a length of time. You know that those topics, those subjects are going to be covered, but when you're able to cover them. So you can allow for interruptions to come in, because they will. You can allow for the one child who just cannot get that one math fact no matter what. You can allow for the child who zooms through everything and they're done in like 10 minutes, and you allotted 20 minutes, or you plan to have more time with that. So the ebb and flow of things, a routine allows for that. Okay, let's move on, because I know I'm getting long-winded. Number 2, keep a flexible schedule, y'all. Some of y'all, you could be a drill instructor for the Marine Corps because you're very inflexible. You got to be flexible, especially with children. These little people, they require flexibility. And you almost have to think as a child yourself to understand how, your kids, you want to create flexibility in your schedule. Your homeschool schedule should fit your lifestyle, and it should fit your routine, your approach. It should fit you, not the other way around. You make your schedule work for you. Otherwise, you become a slave to it, and then your kids are exhausted, they're frustrated, they don't want to do anything because you're chasing after something that is unrealistic and not custom to your family. So don't be afraid. Like if you have curriculum and it says you need to do grammar 5 days a week, the 5th day you're testing, you don't have to do that. You might decide, well, we have all these other activities going on, and then we have field trips on Friday, so we'll do spelling or grammar 3 days a week. Make it work for you. Nothing is set in stone. And remember, you are the CEO of this family and this homeschool, so you can decide what you want to do and what you don't want to do. So you want a flexible schedule that is stable, okay? If you're changing things every other week, the kids have no idea what's going on. There's that uncertainty and unpredictability, and that's kind of hard to cope with because you just don't know what's coming at you. The third and final tip for creating a homeschool space: think outside the traditional school box, okay? No, I know that's hard because I was thinking I was way in the traditional school day box. And like I said, I got really frustrated because I was trying to follow a schedule versus a routine. So this 4-hour window, it doesn't matter what time we start school. Sometimes it's 8, well, sometimes. Most times it's 9. Sometimes it could be 10, depending on, if we're coming off of a holiday break or something like that. But we have this 4-hour window to get our work done. And I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to be fancy, I like embellishments and sequins and stuff. I'm from Texas, but something's pinching me in the back. Okay. So we start in the morning, and it's 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours. But definitely we get the bulk of our work done in the morning, because in the afternoon, that's really set aside for independent learning activities. And that could be a favorite book they really want to read. It could be watching a documentary. It could be creating something in our little makerspace area. It could be doing some science experiments without my supervision, but little basic little science stuff, like, they're trying to catch critters around here and see what they eat, what they won't eat, will they eat some sugar, will they eat salt, whatever. But just independent learning activities. I just want them to explore and just be curious. So really, the afternoon independent learning time or activity is something to just foster their curiosity, okay? And also fight that computer screen time stuff, you know. And then we don't do any school after 3 o'clock. That's the cutoff. So no school after 3 o'clock. And I have that because after a while, you have to make a designation between school and home. And for some people, they don't have to do that, and that's great. For us, we need to turn off school and then be home, especially for me, because my workplace is my school place, is my living space, is everything. And I need separation. Otherwise, I just feel like it's overwhelming. So we don't do any schooling after 3. In the afternoon, we have our independent learning activities. So you need to find out what's the best time of day for you. Do you have night owls? So they probably don't even get up until 11. Maybe you do most of your learning in the afternoon. Or maybe you guys are early risers and you can knock out a lot of stuff early in the morning, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and be done by lunch and have a whole day to go out, do field trips, explore, do co-op classes, you know, whatever you want. So choose the best day that works for your family. And if it doesn't work, throw it away, try something else. That's the beauty of homeschool. Then also decide what subjects do you want to start with first? The hardest, the easiest, the most fun. Sit down and think about your children's temperament in the morning and yours. And before you think, okay, pre-calc was at 8 o'clock, it's a great idea, rethink that. Or it might be a great option for your child. So start thinking about your child's personality and what they would like, or better yet, just ask them. Okay, let them chime in and get their opinion on what they would like to start with first. And then you're going to want to alternate between thinking subjects and doing subjects. So what I mean by that, just so you keep boredom from settling in. So you don't want to go from writing to reading to grammar to spelling. That's woo. I mean, it's all language arts, and it's a lot of thinking, a lot of writing, and so you might want to break it up. Maybe start with writing, then go to math, and then reading, and then science, and then maybe spelling and history. So break it up. So you have hard subjects versus easy subjects, and then your thinking subjects and your doing subjects. And for me, I kind of equate science and math with doing, and then the thinking is, you know, more your English language arts, with the exception of spelling. But that's just kind of like how I do it in my head. Let's see. For my 2 younger elementary boys, I have a play or like recess time for them. It's usually 30 minutes, can go to 45 minutes. And that's after they get 2 subjects done. And then they have a longer break. And then if there's something that they really need to work on, something they're struggling with, I'll take 10 minutes with each child and work on that before they go into lunch. And then with lunch, they have like a playtime built in for that. So my child was working through division facts. It was like one family that division family, the multiplication fact family that the 8s, he just could not remember. And so we would just drill that a little bit for about 10 minutes, a little bit less. I would have him just it was really easy. I would have him take some chalk and go on the driveway or on our floor, because they erase easy, and have him do that. So, so whatever I needed to kind of like come in and little intervention stuff, that would be the time I would do it, because they would be encouraged, because it would be a short period of time, and they knew lunch was on, was coming right after that. So they were a bit more encouraged and more interested in working through that, so they can get to lunch and the playtime. Okay, and then we finished with our afternoon independent learning activities, as I told you, and then during lunch is also the physical activity time. So they're outside, and 45 minutes, it depends on how long they want to play. I don't really push it. If they wanted to be outside for an hour, that is fine. Get some vitamin D, some fresh air, or some smog air, because we're in LA, and play. So now my middle schooler has different needs. He does a number of online classes, and he has to work more independently, because he's at that age where you need to start fostering those skills, those independent skills. So his day of the week, some days he has a class that starts at 7 a.m. and other days he has a class that starts at 10. So we play around with that. We do a lot of talking and discussing one-on-one, the two of us, and that's been a different dynamic for us, and it's been a wonderful dynamic for us. So your child's needs will change as they get older, most definitely. So he's a little bit more hands off, but his window of learning, I don't really have one for him because he has classes as late as 5 o'clock at night and as early as 7 o'clock in the morning. So what we do is, when I see he has a heavy load of classes, I let him, when he's done, just veg out. And then on the days where he has a very small load, that's when we do our homework and we have a lot of discussions, and we practice planning out what's coming the next week, homework-wise, test-wise, things like that. So really, right now, what I'm doing with him is working on life skills of planning, organizing, and those executive skills for how to manage your course load. So that's what we're doing there. But at 3 o'clock, learning's done. Although he does have one class at 5, but it's a favorite class of his, so he doesn't mind. So that's how we do that. So life changes, and so will your schedule. So just don't be a slave to it. Make it work for you, and you'll be just fine. And just know that things can change week to week, but try to be a little consistent. Try to give your schedule, your plan, try to give your routine time to work, and don't just throw it out because after one day your kids hated it. Give it some time to marinate. So I would say 2 weeks at the most. Give it some time to marinate, and you can make changes each day to twerk it, and I said twerk, to tweak it so it fits your lifestyle. So long as you're flexible, you'll be okay. You will be okay. So my main takeaways for this video on how to create a homeschool schedule is: number 1, routines create peace. They really do. Number 2, keep a flexible routine. Okay? Make the routine work for you and not the other way around. Number 3, think outside of that traditional school day box, please. This is a homeschool. It's not the school down the street. You don't have to do what they do, okay? So I hope you found some value in those 3 tips for creating a homeschool space. Thank you so much, and I will see you on the next year. I am Nikki with That Homeschool Life. Bye-bye.